The blessings never late, so I'ma give it a raise. My daddy told me happiness is something that you create, but I ain't feeling so creative lately. I just wanna stay home and make beats, so I'll sleep for 8 weeks either way. Now my whole life feeling cooler. Now I know that passports get thick when it's fuller, and this life thing don't really come with a ruler, man. So I'm not tripping that I still don't have my own jeweler. Yeah, in other words, I don't like to compare. I just turned 20, but my goals to feel 28. Without the back pain, stress, and the problems of bed, just the achievements, wisdom, and a couple of friends. Until then, I be like movies with no plot, yeah, the bad ones. I skip the drama and get right to the action. Fuck looking for enemies, I got more friends than Brockhampton. They give me honest opinions, I don't deal with the gassing, man. Feeling like I ain't shit.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jin, and the last time you saw me, I was freaking out about starting as a junior doctor. Well, a few months have passed since then, and this channel has been a little bit neglected, not gonna lie. I've just been going to work, coming home from work, going to work, coming home from work. But today I put together this video to try to show you what starting as a doctor in a hospital is really like, and just kind of what I've been up to in these unprecedented times. To tell that story, we're gonna have to rewind things a few months. Now, life as a doctor is often portrayed to be pretty exciting. Well, for me, it started in the most 2020 way possible. I was sat in my living room watching Zoom lectures about fire hazards, moving and handling, and other exciting parts about being a doctor. My first week was just filled with induction things, which was fine by me. We got given our scrubs, and we got our NHS badges with NHS lanyards.
Oh my god, look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it.
And during that induction week, we shadowed doctors around on the ward, desperately trying to absorb any last-minute bits of clinical advice before we had to take over. Now, as I said before, I was very nervous about starting as a junior doctor. It had been months since I had thought about anything medicine related, and a lot of other medical graduates had started early as interim doctors, so I was worried that when I started, I was already going to be a lot behind. And that first induction week came and went like a flash, and before I knew it, the training wheels were off and it was my turn to step up. And around came the day called Black Wednesday. Black Wednesday, the annual date in August when newly qualified doctors start on the wards on their very first day of the job. Black Wednesdays have actually been shown in the study to have a 6% higher death rate than the Wednesdays that come before it. So if you're ever picking a day for your heart attack, maybe pick another day. So, was my Black Wednesday quite as scary as I'm making it out to be? Of course it wasn't. My first 4-month rotation was in palliative care in a very small district general hospital. It was such a rewarding job that I learned so much from. And because it's such a sensitive specialty where you're dealing with a lot of end-of-life care, there's always senior support that you can turn to ask questions to. And you often hear that medicine is nothing like the TV shows, but there is one TV show that I would liken my day-to-day life as a junior doctor to, and that's The Office. Because FY1 doctors aren't really out there making big medical decisions or performing complex procedures, it often feels like most of your day is spent doing more menial tasks such as paperwork or phone calls or taking bloods, and generally keeping the ward running so that the senior doctors can do the more interesting parts of the job. So my daily 9 to 5 was pretty manageable. I got quite good at dealing with palliative symptoms in patients, and I got quite good at talking to patients and families about really difficult subjects. But unfortunately, medicine is not just a 9 to 5 job. You often have shifts that go on for later, where between those hours you act as the on-call doctor for the hospital. And in my hospital, the day team of around 20 junior doctors covering the medical wards cut down to typically 5. You get given a bleep, and if a patient needs a doctor involved, you're the doctor, no matter where they are in the hospital. And honestly, on-call shifts can still be a little bit stressful, but there's always a senior doctor that you can call up for support, and generally they're very nice. And then came night shifts, which is essentially the same as those on-call hours, but you get 12 hours of it. And there's only 3 medical doctors, not 5. And you cover the surgical wards as well. Yep. But honestly, those night shifts are where I feel like I've learned the most this year. It's a chance for FY1 doctors like me to spread our wings, to roam free and actually see unwell patients rather than sitting in the office doing paperwork and phone calls. And the pattern that I found in my night shifts was that generally from 9 PM to 2 AM, it was so busy, you were running around, it was all a bit mad. And then 2 AM onwards, it would kind of tail off. You might even find an hour of rest before your bleep goes off again. But then 9 a.m. comes around, the day team arrive, you start handing over, the patients are their responsibility again, and that feeling when you get to go home. So that's kind of a breakdown of how my first 4 months as a doctor went. Day shifts, long shifts, night shifts, in a continuous order. Pepper in some weekend shifts, which are no fun, and also Hell Week, which was a 7-day block of 5 long shifts and 2 normal shifts on the busiest ward in the hospital. And I can guarantee you that was absolutely no fun either. Instead, let's talk about the second part of the title and how the pandemic has affected things. And yeah, the pandemic has definitely affected hospital life in every way possible. Halfway through my first rotation, my palliative care ward got shut down and turned into a COVID ward, and all the palliative care patients got shipped out to more general wards. I kind of got absorbed into general medicine team because that's what the hospital needed. And every ward you come across, whether it's a COVID ward or a non-COVID ward, you can see the burden of stretched beds and stretched staff. And in November, I moved from my first job in palliative care to my second job in respiratory/COVID. And what has really surprised me about the second job is just how much death there's been. You kind of expect death when you take on a job in palliative care. It's kind of part and parcel. But I didn't expect that to carry on when I moved into respiratory/COVID, where I dealt with a lot more unexpected deaths. I dealt with deaths in much younger patients. On the COVID wards, you often see couples coming in together as patients because they caught the disease at the same time. And sometimes they both leave the hospital. Sometimes one gets taken away to critical care. Sometimes one passes away, and sometimes neither of the couple makes it out of the hospital. And COVID as a disease is such a frustrating disease to treat because there's just not much evidence out there at all for any management options. So sure, when a patient turns unwell, you can knock up their oxygen, you can trial some steroids, you can call up critical care. But ultimately, there's only so much you can do as a doctor if someone's getting unwell with COVID. There's not many treatment options you can use, and you're kind of powerless as you sit there watching your patient turn unwell, and it's just shit. My first 6 months as a doctor has definitely felt like a roller coaster. Most specifically that part of the roller coaster when you're near the top, you've got that anxious feeling in your stomach and you don't know if you're going to cope with the next part. But before you know it, the end of the shift has come and you've survived. Everything in medicine seems scary at first, and every day you try something new for the first time. And everything seems scary until you do enough of it, and then it just becomes another thing you do. And then the next thing comes along, and you get on the ride all over again.
I don't know if what I'm doing is right.
Hi, my name is Dr. Jin Sun. The last time you saw me, I was like